Hello everyone, and a very warm welcome to Showtime, a platform celebrating the music, art and culture of Chesterfield, Derbyshire and the Peak District. In today's episode I'll be talking to Mr. Danny Burton. Originally from London, in the 90s he shared a stage and band with Zak Starkey in his band Face, rubbing shoulders with the likes of Noel Gallagher and Paul Weller. Stars like Robbie Williams and Jon Bon Jovi would turn up to his gigs. Now settled in Derbyshire, debut album Electric Universe was greeted with critical acclaim, whilst difficult second album Night and Day was a very different animal. Heartfelt, vulnerable and brutally honest in equal measures. I caught up with Danny for a track-by-track analysis of Night and Day and found out all what happened in between since those heady days in Camden in the 90s. So now, without further ado, cue the music. It's showtime. Yeah, glad we could make it.
Yeah,
both of us. Yeah, just about. So, welcome to Showtime.
Thank you very much. Aaron.
Excellent. We've been planning this for a while, haven't we?
We have, yeah. Thanks for having me, mate.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you for coming on. I mean, where we're going to start. I mean, I was first watching your post on Facebook about a year and a half back. And you sent me a private message and it was like, I'm already watching, mate. So yeah, I've been watching quite how prolific you've been and putting a couple of singles out by that point. So that was about August 2019. So, and then, from there we had a bit of a conversation and you said, I've got a whole album coming out. And I thought, so I listened to a couple of them and it was like, oh my, within 5 or 10 seconds, he knows what he's doing.
That's very kind of you, mate. Thank you.
Not just that, it was like, okay, because I got an album planned in my head, which I wrote a bit in Australia.
Yeah.
And it's like, right, okay. And then you sent me some more stuff, and it was like, right, okay, I want you to produce my album. Yeah. Once I found out you just played, sung, everything, and produced the whole lot, which is an incredible accomplishment. And that was to even ask you, I didn't know if you'd be up for it, but I mean that's something else, my album. But we're here to talk about your stuff and your story. So, I mean, where do you want to start? I mean, do you want to give the background from the stuff you did? We're both kind of 90s.
Both
children,
90s,
aren't we?
I think for those that don't know, I was in a few bands in London in the 90s and I sort of progressed going on. I was in a band called The Allure and then that changed into Face. We started recording at John Entwistle's house with Bob Pridden, the producer.
Right.
Bob Pridden was the on stage sound guy for The Who.
Oh right, okay.
So he's the one that people used to give stick to. He was right behind Townsend as well.
Wow, right.
So if anyone was going to get the amps thrown at him and stuff, but he was brilliant. They love him.
Okay.
So Bob Pridden was producing it with a guy called Gary Granger, who was in Rod Stewart's band. He's done loads. He's a brilliant guitarist.
Cool.
So they were producing it. Our manager managed to sort us out to go up to John Entwistle's house, which as young kids we thought was...
We were in was it a bit daunting or just exciting?
No, do you know what? Back in the day, I had so much confidence. Yeah. I just assumed.
Yeah.
It's kind of... I remember saying to the careers people at school, they said, what are you going to do? We all had to go up. My school was shit. It was like... it was one of the worst schools in London.
All right.
And I couldn't wait to get out every day. But I remember I went to the careers guy and said, "What are you going to?" I said, "I'm going to be a rock star."
Did you? Excellent.
He just laughed at me. You dream.
Oh, right. Okay.
Get out. Man.
Yeah.
Get out.
Well.
But and I was quite put out.
Right.
Because I thought I was good.
Well, you know what's inside as well, don't you?
So like going to John Entwistle was exciting, but it was just for me part of the process at the time.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, when you're young, you don't really think about it, do you? You just we worked hard. We, as a band, we rehearsed every day.
Right. Okay.
We were proper. We all give up our jobs and went on the dole.
Right. Awesome.
Yeah. So it was like all or nothing. So yeah, it was it was exciting, but it was a great place. So we went there and we were recording, and cut a long story short, the guitarist and the drummer parted ways, and we needed a drummer.
Right.
And a guitarist. So we were like head in hands, and we didn't know what to do. And then so Gary Granger said, well, I know someone. And I said, well, who is it? He said, oh, Ringo's boy. And then I just get him in.
Oh, yeah, right.
But he came up and he played on the tracks that we were recording. And Gary Granger played the guitar on the demos, and we was doing some demos for record companies.
Cool.
And then he loved the stuff. We got on with him, myself and Ronnie, as a bass player. And then that was it. We we were off, and then he got Gary Nuttall in. Now Gary Nuttall was playing with Chesney Hawkes before.
Right, yeah.
But all these boys that like Zak had played with the Who already, and he played with loads of people. And Gary Nuttall was the same. Gary Nuttall played Wembley Stadium with Chesney Hawkes.
Right. Wow.
So they were all kind of well-seasoned boys, and they were a little bit older than us.
Yeah.
And then it kind of took off. So that was the 90s, and then it kind of went on, and we had all the record companies after us. We were in all the papers, and we were kind of having sell-out shows, and we were like...
Jon Bon Jovi turning up and
Yeah,
stuff.
Jon Bon Jovi was at the side of the stage. John Entwistle was there.
Yeah.
It's quite a weird thing.
Wow.
And...
Incredible.
Yeah, we were going to be the next big thing. I mean, the thing was, we had Zak in the band, and that was a unique selling point for any band.
Yeah,
and obviously he's such a fantastic musician, and a great musician, and Gary Nuttall was a great musician as well. But then Zak left to go to the Who.
Right.
He got the call, and that was his dream job, so he went off.
Right. Okay.
And then we got another drummer in. He was a really brilliant drummer, and we tried to carry on. Smiley, his name is.
Okay.
And he's done loads. Great drummer. It's a great replacement. I think Smiley had a book out, and I read a little bit about. There's a little bit in there that said, he got the call from Zak. I think Zak sorted it out. Zak said, here's your job.
Okay. Right.
But then it never. We kind of went on, and it never really. It wasn't really. It was never really the same after Zak, because Zak's very unique in his playing.
Different dynamics when you replace any band member, isn't there? But a drummer especially.
Yeah, and it was kind of, songs were not based around him, but they had a lot of space for him to put his flair in.
Right.
And using that. When Smiley came in, it was really good, and we were still doing stuff, and then we were doing showcases, and then Robbie Williams would come and watched us a couple of times, and the next thing you know, Smiley and Gary Nuttall were in Robbie's band with his first single. These are strange days.
Don't know much Robbie stuff, but
so that was the first thing.
So
kind of, that was it for me. It kind
Right.
of done me up because we worked so hard.
Oh man, yeah, when a band splits up, it's like.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I moved to Leeds at one point.
Really?
Yeah, I was out of music for 8 years. Yeah. It's just like, God, if this is what it's about, I don't know if I want part of that anymore.
It's hard.
Completely turn my back on it. Yeah. But obviously, I always loved listening to music still, and knowing. What was going on and stuff, but not being part of it anymore. So I can completely relate to that. So, at one point you had Weller come into your A&R.
Yeah,
stuff.
we were. That was before. So it was all leading up. So when we kind of got to doing stuff, it was all part of it. We were rehearsing. We were doing showcases at No Miss Studios in London. Really great studios. And back in them days, there was a vibe. Yeah. There was a canteen, and all the bands were in a different rooms, and everyone would go at lunchtime. Like, you'd stop down tools and you'd go. It's old school. We're doing that. It was like going to work. So and we'd all go in the canteen at lunchtime, and then we knew that Weller was upstairs, and Weller's like my all-time hero, and Stevie Marriott, but love Weller, and so I was only a boy. Then. So he was really nice to us, and he was really cool, and he kind of took us under his wing, and he took the time to talk to us as kind of equals. He didn't look down on us or anything, and we kind of hit it off with him. And then we invited him into the showcase. I think we had about 3 or 4 record companies in, and then we'd already started. I think we'd done one song, and then the door opened. And the record companies, we were on the stage, record companies were down there, and the door was over there, and in comes Paul Weller and Steve White. And I remember they didn't take no notice, the record company at first, and I said, "All right, Paul," and then they all turned around and saw Paul Weller. Kind of.
Excellent.
It was a little bit like, the pressure's on.
Oh, right, wow.
Yeah, because then we had to perform. But, again, I had a lot
confident enough, yeah.
Yeah,
right, okay. So, yeah, I mean, how long did you stop for?
Well, he come in for the show and went, and then we were like pestering him, "Can we come and,
Right.
do support with you?" I didn't care back in the day.
Yeah, cool. You got to try. Yeah.
You got to try, but it's not really the way. The last thing people want
Yeah.
when they're famous and when they're successful is because they get so many people driving them mad.
Yeah, right.
So everyone's out for something, so it's the wrong way to approach it anyway. But I was young and I just wanted to support Paul Weller because I loved him. But yeah, he invited us upstairs. He was doing the Stanley Road showcase for Stanley Road. The first time he was airing it, so we had the band set up in the big studio upstairs. So I was sat there, Ronnie was there, and Noel Gallagher.
Wow.
Just loads of people. And then we went and then he invited us to his party on the boat after on the Thames.
Amazing.
And I got carried out by Big Andy, who was our security man. Big Andy, he was a beautiful man.
Okay.
He was with Bruce Springsteen's like bodyguard.
Yeah, amazing.
So he carried me out on his shoulder, and I remember
Big
waving to him. "Whoa, it's time to go now."
Oh, right.
So
okay.
yeah, that kind of set the scene.
You got
really,
booted out?
I didn't get booted out.
Right,
They
okay.
just said, "Right." My manager said, "Right, get him out."
Yeah, right.
He's
Wow.
driving everyone mad.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So.
Good man. So, well, yeah, I mean, I know there's loads in between, but yeah, I mean, so yeah, what I was saying about when I first heard your stuff, that was the album Electric Universe.
That's right. Yeah,
Okay.
2019. I started it. I said on I went round our friends on New Year's Eve in 2018, going into 2019, and I was saying I'm going to make an album. I'm going to make an album. And I just wanted to. I felt I had it in me. There'd been a long time. I've done loads of bands and loads of things and produced and writing, but I hadn't actually got anything properly out. So started writing. A lot of them were old songs, and wrote some new ones, and then recorded it, and that was Electric Universe.
Yeah.
So I sent it to you.
Yeah.
See what you thought, and then that came out in November.
I've still got my diary from there.
Have you?
Right, and I can, because I write every morning. That's another story, but and which has actually helped my creative process and getting this podcast going. But yeah, you sent me and in my I've not read it back yet, but it'll be like, okay, I've got 2 songs in, and it's like, my God, this is like amazing,
Nice.
And then it's like, God, and the next, and it was stopping me writing actually, but I was writing whilst I was listening to it, so which you're not really supposed to do because you're meant to be
Supposed to be a
stream of consciousness. But absolutely brilliant. So sorry to cut you off.
No, and that was where I put Who You Gonna Love Out was the first single, and I didn't really know what I was doing, if I'm honest,
Right.
because I knew what I was doing musically, writing, but I'm old school, you go in the studio, you do the thing,
Right.
you record it, with the band, or if you're not recording it with the band, back in the day it would have been, I recorded it all myself and played all the instruments and produced it. And then, in my eyes, you get the band together, you do a video, you release a single, and I didn't really know about the social media side of it, so it was a learning curve for me.
I think it's important to document. You did document quite a lot of that as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
So, and it's really important. Like, even if you want to get a podcast going, you just got to document all the parts of it because it shows your journey. So it's good you got that.
Yeah, it's brilliant, and it's content, and I didn't understand that because I didn't realise how much social media and YouTube is everything now.
Yeah.
The music business is not the same as it used to be.
No,
it used to be you got a good song. Have you got any more? Yes, we've got an album.
You'd rise to the top.
Yeah,
from
you would.
merit, wouldn't you?
Yes, but you go and you slog it out. You do gigs and you support people and you'd work hard and you'd be up and down the country. That's what we were doing, and then you'd rise to the top.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit different now because the record companies, as they were, they were throwing money away. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They were saying, "Oh, how much?" People were getting a lot of money just to go and do demos and to do stuff and showcases and. But that doesn't happen. So it was a kind of a learning curve. I put that out and I made a video. And then I put got the band together. So I put, got Ronnie. Ronnie's been with me, in a band with me since we were 16,
right, okay.
15.
I've seen some of the fresh-faced photos
Yeah.
from the 90's, yeah.
And because it never really worked with Face, I felt responsible.
All right.
So I always thought, like, if I start doing something again, I need to get Ronnie back,
Yeah.
I kind of had to, I was kind of trying to recapture the past. And I can only say that now in hindsight.
Okay.
Because I felt it was unfinished business.
Yeah.
I felt that I never reached my full potential.
Okay.
And, we'll lead on to that. Why did I not reach my full potential? There was too much booze and too much drugs. And, too much partying. And then it got, just like I, touched on when I said I had to get carried out by the man. I was into that kind of, bought into that rock and roll lifestyle. And I thought that's what a front man was. So, and I was a bit of a nightmare, to be honest. Not a bit, I was a nightmare, it was a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde, but when I got boozed up, I'd go full on Jim Morrison.
Okay, well, that's, to an extent, that's a part of being a rock star. I mean, Keith Richards has a lawyer following around, making sure he hasn't offended anyone. And,
I mean, he's got the luxury of that. I think it's all right. You've got to get there first. Yeah, You've got to get to the top. You get to the top, and then people will let you off. And also people are getting paid.
Right.
They'll do as they have to because they're getting paid, and you've shown. That you're consistent and you're up at the top, and you can, you kind of got a bit of leeway with that. But I was kind of acting like a rock star before I was a rock star.
Okay.
I thought I was, but we were nearly there. So I felt there was unfinished business. So I always wanted to I felt like I owed Ronnie that.
Okay.
And I felt like with this album, with Electric Universe, I was going to get it all back.
Yeah.
Here it is, great songs.
Get the band back together.
Yeah. It was kind of like that. So I kind of felt I owed it to him. So he'd come back and he'd done it. And then I got my good friend Andy in, who I was in a band with when I was younger. Okay. So I kind of got all the boys in together. And then I thought that was going to be it. I got some good videos done.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of money.
Right, yeah.
Remortgaged my house because that's how much I believed in it. But I didn't know that it ain't the same anymore.
No, that's really important.
It's a different way of looking at it, and now I know that. It's a couple of years on, I know that. But I thought it's a great album.
Yeah,
everyone's gonna hear it. But it's not quite like that anymore.
No, it's crowded and noisy, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the marketplace, if you put it like that.
Yeah, definitely.
So I mean, so what did you do? How did you tackle that?
Well, it's the first thing I knew really about the social media side of it. It was when a friend of mine, Martin, helped come out and be the manager.
Okay.
And so I was in bands with Martin, he's a great musician, great producer,
right.
Martin West, and he said, look, you've got to get the socials, if you don't have socials, if you don't have this, if you haven't got so many followers, then you're not going to get the gigs. So it's a kind of, a vicious cycle of like, you've got to get this social media. I didn't understand that, so I kind of learnt as I was going on.
Right.
And by the time the album came out in November, I'd had 3 singles out: Time Alone, Dangerous, and Who You Gonna Love. And then I was kind of thinking, right, okay, it's a different landscape.
Okay.
It's like it's totally different.
Right.
It's not the the 90s or the noughties anymore, and that you've got it's in your hands.
Yeah. Right.
But you've got to have some kind of you have to be
structure.
you have to understand it and play the game with it a little bit. So then that album come out, and then that kind of we went on tour. So we toured. We've done you come.
I came to the Sheffield.
Yeah, that's right.
I was watching Ronnie, and honestly, it was so precarious. I mean, it was fantastic. I was like, he's going to fall off the stage any moment because it was quite tight as well.
But he never did.
He never did. Just like no.
Yeah, he's a great performer.
Oh, absolutely brilliant. I got a bit of video for that as well, and I didn't quite believe it with the tour bus. You got a picture of that, haven't you, somewhere?
That's
so
right.
Out now. But but I thought really, and then I asked Kat. I was stood next to Kat at the gig, and she said. No, we just found it somewhere, didn't you?
Well, we were picking up our tour bus, which was just a van with a bit on the back for the equipment, and then there was this big, massive tour bus with the beds on it. So
it did make me think of it.
It was great, perception is everything, really.
It is,
and we just stood in front of that big bus and then took a picture and then put it out. We were just getting on the tour bus.
Right, okay.
But that would have been an expense. Well, you know what? I wasted money on other things.
Right.
We might as well have got that as well.
Well, talk about those 3 videos. I mean, so the first one, it was a white. Was that the one you filmed? Is it Barlow?
Yeah, filmed it with Barlow with Matthew Bardsby.
Okay.
And he's a local filmmaker and photographer. So
decent.
And I was in like a covers band with his dad.
Oh right, I didn't know the connection there.
Yeah,
right, was that Bad Penny?
Yeah.
Oh right, okay.
Kev, So Kev's bass player in the band. So I got him in to do that, and he was new to it as well as I was. So I think we've done 3 different versions, and then we ended up there.
Okay.
We tried to do other versions, but we got there in the end, and he'd done a really good job, and I was pleased with it. And it kind of served a purpose, and that moved it on to the next one. Time Alone, the video for Time Alone was brilliant because we put a lot of money into it, and we filmed it in Chesterfield and Derbyshire, and
real time, wasn't it?
Real time, and we had Kat's old car.
Yeah,
so you can see that video on YouTube.
Yeah, right, okay.
And we drafted in lots of people, and that was really good.
I would have come to that. I think I was rehearsing that night, but I really did. I did see the shout out.
Yeah,
I did want to come. So
that was a better step on, and then the kind of money run out.
Okay.
And the realisation that you don't have to spend a lot of money on.
But that was a cool video. The next one, wasn't it? With the door.
Dangerous
with the door.
Yeah. So we were coming back from London, myself and Kat, my wife, and we were driving back. I think it was about 6 o'clock in the morning. We'd been to London and we'd done some showcases and had a radio interview, and then we'd stayed over. And then we drove back really early, and then we got a phone call from the publicist saying we need the video for that. We really need the video. So we kind of thought of the story, the narrative and the idea for the video on the way back. So we thought we'd get this door, and that could be going through. As you open the door, you're going through into different.
Amazing.
Things.
Yeah.
So we made the door.
Amazing.
Myself, Kat, and Sam.
Went off to the park.
And then we put it in a van, hired a van, and then put it over with people in Chesterfield thinking like, what's going on here? There's a 10 door and this guy in a fur coat is busting through. Like bowling down the thing. But you know what? You've just got to go for it.
Yeah.
So we've done that, and we shot it all on Kat's phone, which is Samsung, and then put Final Cut and just cut it up.
Amazing.
And it was alright.
Yeah, you're pretty dab hand with the technology though, aren't you really?
I just go,
Taught yourself?
Yeah,
Yeah, you seem to be pretty adept at that.
Yeah.
And the production as well.
Yeah, anything creative.
Yeah,
that side of it. And at the end of the day, you've got to do a job. So if you haven't got anyone to do it, I'd rather rely on myself, because I know I'll put the time and the effort in, and I'll find a way and I'll get it so I like it.
Yeah, can do philosophy.
Yes.
Yeah, big time. Yeah. Excellent. No, admirable, man. That's really cool.
And then that finished sort of November with the album coming out, and then we played. The last gig we played was in December, I believe, December 2020.
Is that a Glasgow one?
That was in Glasgow. That was a really good gig. That was Tony McCarroll, who was Oasis' first drummer. He was doing like a Q&A.
Yeah.
And then we played after. So that was good.
Cool.
Quite a rock and roll night. And then I don't think we played after that.
Oh, yeah.
And then that was it, wasn't it? That was 2019 going into 2020.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember.
Did you play Colchester your last gig?
Played Colchester last gig of the tour.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
And then the actual last gig we played was this November or December in Glasgow, and that was really good.
Excellent.
And then that was 2019, and that went into 2020.
Right.
So when did we get COVID? When did we get?
Well, that was March, wasn't it? But I came back from Sri Lanka and we met up in Kew at Brampton.
That's
and,
right.
And
That's right.
It's like, I mean, I've been mentioning stuff to you anyway. But yeah, that's when we we talked about my album, but also like about Showtime as well. Really,
I think you've done a really good job.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, any favourite episodes?
I like the Damon.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah.
He's a guitarist journey, a musician's journey. Yeah, he's done well, hasn't he?
That kind of resonated with me.
Yeah, absolutely. So
well.
and this is your journey now. So I want to do this for a lot of people, really, and see what people can. There's lots of great talent in Chesterfield.
Oh, definitely.
So, and obviously, you're not from Chesterfield originally, are you? So
no, not from around these parts.
You're going to do the best accent. So
no. No.
You knew that was coming. I shouldn't have even told you. Yeah. I should have just sprung it on you.
There's no way.
Yeah.
I only have to open my mouth around here, and people say you're not from around here, are you? Around these parts,
Excellent.
I just live down the road.
But yeah, interesting. So from Camden originally.
Camden Town, Kentish Town, sort of Islington. I grew up in Camden Town, so that's kind of the stomping ground.
Fantastic. I bet I was cool in the 90s especially.
It was, but we didn't really think about it. We just it was. It's a bit of a shit. It was a bit of a shithole. It's still a bit of a shithole,
Right.
But there's some really nice places. It's great to go in and out. But it was there was a good sort of music scene.
It was the heart of Britpop, really, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. So it was. We just took it for granted.
Yeah.
There's nothing now, really, is there? Especially with all the shit that's gone on with COVID and all of that. There's nothing really.
No.
Even before, no real scenes. And that's what you're trying to do with the Showtime. It's like try and create a scene, and get people involved and working with each other.
It was actually really good here in the 90s. Yeah, believe it.
It was good everywhere.
It was actually, wasn't it? Yeah. But especially here, Sheffield as well, and Leeds. That's why I moved to Leeds, because everywhere we played, that was my favourite place.
Yeah, Leeds.
So
Leeds is great,
Leeds is cool. But what about your football background? We could have been brilliant, couldn't we?
We could have been.
Yeah.
Could have been.
Yeah, that could have been a whole different.
It could, yeah. My dad was always in football at Arsenal and Wimbledon. He was Wimbledon manager, and I played when I was younger, and then I fell out of love with it.
Right.
Music has always been my love. When I was a little kid, music affected me in a different way. I kind of felt it. And I still remember now, all it takes is that, a couple of seconds of the intro of a song takes me straight back. So I absorbed music, and music was everything to me. And as soon as I started to get into music, it started boozing and all of that, and girls and, and reading about, the rock stars that were my idols.
Yeah.
And it kind of went to the wayside. And, if I have it right, I wasn't probably good enough. I could have been.
Right.
If I'd have put my mind to it.
Okay.
But it was wrapped up in, and I didn't really have the temperament.
Okay. Yeah.
I was too sensitive. I can still be too sensitive now, and things affected me. So if someone dug me out, oh Danny, blah blah, I'd take it to heart, and I'd not want to go. So and there was a lot of that I just didn't have. I didn't have the temperament. I didn't have the psychological makeup to be a footballer. You need to be hard, and you need to be able to take orders. Yeah. And I can't take orders.
Right, okay, yeah.
I just
completely get that.
Do you know what I mean?
It's absolutely, yeah. And you hear these. I've heard quite a few documentaries, both on radio and TV, where football mums and dads, they'll take the kids around everywhere. From the age of maybe 6 or 7 sometimes, and then you get to that sort of like 16, 17, 18 age, and then it drops off. You've not made it, and it's just like, pew.
Yeah, what do they do? Yeah, and a lot of them just,
oh my God,
that's it.
Right, so
but at least they had the chance to do it, and it's a good life, and good life to it's healthy.
But only limited opportunities.
Limited lifespan, really. Isn't there? Yeah, limited shelf life, and but the few go through and then they have a good career.
Right.
But so I left football and went into music, and that was kind of what was always going to happen. And then when I was lost a bit and I went and done my level 2 badge in London, and I started to do a bit of when I was still in London, started to do a bit of coaching. But it music always drew me back. You can't. To me, the two don't go hand in hand.
No.
You can't be out doing a gig till 3 o'clock in the morning and then
No,
coaching kids in the, the next day. It just doesn't go. So the lifestyle didn't help. And then I left it. And then when I moved to Wales, I was at a loss and I just needed a change. See, the thing with me is I was always running away from music because I thought music was the problem.
Oh, right.
Right.
Okay.
Because music was wrapped up in booze and everything else, and I always thought that music was the problem. So if I quit music, the problem's going to go away.
Right.
But it wasn't. It just I know that now.
Well, that's a nice little segue into kind of where we're going now. So I mean, this new album, it had a different title originally, but
it did, yes.
I mean, do you want to go into that and why it changed, or what it is now? Or?
Yeah, well, it's my new album. It's coming out on February the 14th, 2021, and it was called Songs of Self-Loathing, Lament and Fear, which is a bit of a mouthful.
It is, yeah, but it's and why did you change it?
Why did I change it? I just felt it was too dour.
Yeah.
The idea, so the album is basically, in a nutshell, I'm sure we'll elaborate on it, but in a nutshell it's about alcohol and how, and I don't mind saying I'm a recovering alcoholic now, so I've been nearly a year sober, as you know, and I've been battling with the booze.
Right.
And booze is the catalyst for other things, but it was always the booze.
Yeah,
without the booze, I wouldn't really have been
doing the gateway, isn't it?
Yeah, doing the other things, because as soon as I had the booze, that would go on to the drugs as well. So I've been battling with it since forever.
Well, yeah.
It didn't agree with me, and I was an arsehole. I don't mind. When I had a booze, I changed.
It's incredible to say it didn't agree with you when it kind of. Well, it does for a bit, and it just depends on how much you take. But I mean,
I always
you can't just you just can't stop really.
Yeah, so it always there's other people who can have a drink and they're heavy drinkers, and there's those who have who we call alcoholics.
Yeah.
And now an alcoholic, most people would say, like, they think of an alcoholic, they think of a guy on the bench, with a can of special brew or some strong cider, but that is one part of it. But there's other part that it's an illness, and I've always had an adverse effect to me. Now I can tell when I was 13. When I was 13 when I started drinking. I used to get. They used to call me the blotch man because my face used to go so red and it used to be white eyes, but I had an allergic reaction to it. Wow. But I pushed on through. Because that wasn't going to stop. It'll go. Yeah. So I just went with it. I didn't mind looking like a red mess, but it used to, and I had forgotten that until just then. So I had an allergic reaction. It didn't agree with me. So it was literally saying to me, this is not going to agree with you. But once, and there was it worked up until a point, because for one, you couldn't afford it when you were younger. You had a limited amount of money, and I remember being down the Marquee when we were about 15, and we used to go around stealing people's pints off them as they were watching. I think we just didn't have any money. We just about had enough money to get in there, But it always had... we used to go around the back of our drinking. It's disgusting, really, but that's what we used to do. But it had an adverse effect to me, and anyone that knows me or has been around me and knows me knows that I go from being all right to changing completely into a different character, and I always pretty much have.
Right, yeah.
And it just got worse.
Well, yeah.
And then when I stopped, when everyone stopped drinking and have gone home, I can't. I have to drink until I fall over. And another thing is I wake up in the morning and I want to drink and I'll start drinking again.
Jeez, right. Take away the
then
shakes.
It will take away shakes, take away the fear, because there's a lot of things wrapped up in it. Yeah. And then a lot of that goes round with shame and guilt, because that you've called someone this and that and the other, and you've acted in a way that doesn't resonate or doesn't kind of coexist properly or with how you are, because growing up in London, I always felt, because it was hard, it was a hard time to grow up in, especially for a sensitive person, and so I used booze to stop me feeling, like a wanky, because I just didn't want to have a fight with people, because it wasn't in me.
Right.
It wasn't inherent. I wasn't hard, man, but I had to try and be. So I used booze to combat that, and then it bit me on the arse the other side. So some people use it for Dutch courage, let's say, before, so, but then that would turn into me going the other way,
Right. So. Oh man! So the theme of the album really is the Jekyll and Hyde thing with the alcohol. So it's now called Night and Day.
It's called Night and Day.
Okay.
Yeah. That was the reason why, is because I wouldn't call it a concept album. I don't want to say it's a concept album, but there is a concept and a theme that runs all the way through. And what I want, it's the album that I wanted to write. I didn't want to just do an Electric Universe 2 where it was like old school kind of singles, they've got to be 3.5 minutes or whatever, and you got your verse, chorus, and your bridge, and then big choruses. I wanted to write it from the heart. It's
you
mine.
can do what you want, can't you? It's your baby, isn't it?
Literally, I've just done whatever I wanted to do, and you helped me a lot with it. And,
thank you. Thank you for it's been an honour to be part of it. Really, mate. It's an exceptional piece of work. Absolutely, really accomplished, and just such an honour to be part of it. Absolutely. So,
well, you've done me proud on it, because none of the some of the songs go back to Fate. I wrote in Face. Now the first song, Alcohol, first track one on the album, is an old song.
Right.
So this goes to show.
So this sets the scene, really.
It sets the scene, but it goes to show that this is not a new thing. This, problem with alcohol. I wrote that in Face.
Right.
And it was apt then, and it was, everyone thought, well, they're fucking, he's hit the nail on the head here. Do you know what I mean? And everyone was like, we
great
get
lyrics
that.
in there, man. I mean, what have you done to me? Cause me misery.
Yeah.
And make me a bore.
Yeah, that really is it.
Yeah, you've got to hear this. It's just an exceptional piece of work. The whole album. I mean, should we do track by track actually?
Yeah.
So it starts on Alcohol.
Yeah.
Some great lyrics throughout the album, but this is straight into the thick of things, isn't it? Really,
it is. It kind of sets the scene, and the reason why I didn't do that song before is because Gary Nuttall was, he does great backing vocals, and I've never quite got anyone to be able to do those backing those harmonies, not backing vocals. Backing vocals puts it, makes it seem like it's just a throwaway thing. It's an integral part of the music, and harmonies, and that, and when we've been working together and hearing you sing and working with you, you kind of gave me that scope of, right, I can do what I want to do now, because I love harmonies. All the bands that I listen to, my favourite bands, obviously the Beatles, but Crosby, Stills and Nash, my favourite band, and the harmonies is everything. Yeah. So that's why you opened it up for me, because obviously with Electric Universe I've done it all myself, and I had to do, you do the backing vocals and the harmonies myself, but I'm not I have to say, I'm not really the best with the harmonies, but your ear is you've just got the ear for it, and you kind of gave me that. You kind of opened up the canvas, as it were. Yeah. So like I had a blank canvas to do what I wanted to do with this album, but you kind of made it bigger, because now I can do the harmonies, because
cool.
That's what I love.
That's where, you got the tools to complete it now.
Exactly. So and thanks to you.
Well fantastic. Well, and well, obviously, similarly with my album, and what you've done there.
We should do.
We'll probably do one of mine as well. Actually,
I'll sit there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But that's a strange one, because that was done remotely. For the most part,
it was.
Just right through. We talked about it before, didn't we? But then it was like, well, what we're going to do now? So I sent you my GarageBand stuff. Yeah. And then you just made that shine. That's all I could do with GarageBand. It was all right, but
you've got great songs, and you've got a great album. And I'm looking forward to that coming out.
Yeah,
because I think people are going to love it. Great lyrics. But I really enjoyed working together.
Yeah, big time. I think we're going to do some stuff as a band, or collaboration in the future, aren't we?
Definitely,
but let's go back. So Alcohol, and how does it resolve with this? Is it a cathartic thing as well?
So what do you mean? The cathartic?
So that song. So well, okay. There's the whole album. It's the theme for the whole album. But if we're going track by track, that's the first song. Have you felt a part of catharsis getting that out of the way?
Not so much with that song because that's always been around, and I've kind of detached a little bit from it. But it sets the scene. But the whole album is very, it's cathartic. It's almost like I can breathe now. I've drawn a line under it, and I've been I've tried to not drink and be sober, get sober before, and it's not really worked, and now I've had enough time under my belt now, and I felt that it was time to move on from those songs because I've pretty much, if I'm being honest, I've always write either about how I'm feeling after, and all of the aggro that I cause is because of alcohol, the heartache and the pain that you give to yourself. And it's a dark place.
It is.
It's a dark place. So it is cathartic, and it was something I needed to do. So alcohol kind of sets the scene.
Okay, great.
And at the end of alcohol, because at the start of alcohol, there's it's got the old radio tuning in, and then it comes into the song alcohol, and at the end, what I've done is I've taken the old Face songs and I've put them on the radio thing, so it kind of goes out. So it's a kind of drawing a line over. I'm not chasing the past anymore, and I feel a lot freer now.
That's amazing.
Because I was chasing the past. I have to be honest. I was trying to recreate what didn't quite happen.
Okay.
And so I believe that I've drawn a line. So that's track one, alcohol. There you go.
Okay.
It's kind of playing. What have you done to me? As you said, cause me misery. Make me a bore.
Amazing.
Take this glass from my hand. And someone take me home. That's pretty much. But if you did ask me to go, I'd tell you to fuck off.
When you're on a roll.
Yeah, I've got the flavour.
But interestingly, I'm not drinking at the moment. I'm doing a whole month, but it's the shortest month, isn't it? The February. So it's a little bit of a cop out. But I remember the first time 3 years ago when I first started writing, the morning pages again, and the first time I'd gone over a couple of weeks. And I realised, and you get this clarity, and it's like, my God, right, this is the first time I've stopped drinking, but I've never been a massive pisser. I've gone for it sometimes, I've really, really gone for it sometimes. But I've never really been an alcoholic, but that was the first time I'd stopped drinking since I started drinking.
Really?
For that long, for over 2 weeks. And the clarity it gives you, and it's like, and then, oh my God, the waste of time. Oh my God, it's quite scary, really, isn't it?
It is. You can lose a lot of time. And listen, if I could drink safely, I would drink because it's fucking brilliant. You go out, you're having a drink, you lose, you loosen up, no inhibitions, and everyone gets on, and that's great. But I have to wind the tape on. Wind the tape on. Everyone's gone home, and it's fucking 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'm still drinking. I'm getting a can of cider from the shop, because I can't stop. So if I was, if I could drink, I would. So, but having a month off is brilliant for everyone. It does give you that clarity, and I've definitely got that. There becomes
so much more energy. You've got so much more. Yeah, and like you said about the morning. Everybody can relate to this, but if it's a cycle, that you're just repeating. And, So at the end of the day, you've done sort of like the radio tuning and going through the Face songs.
Yeah, so that kind of is
that's really cool.
It's a subtle hint of saying like, well, you know what, that was the past, and I'm moved on now, and I feel that this is the best musically because the best thing I've done because I didn't want to just do things with. Songs and lyrics. I wanted it to be with the music. I wanted the music to feel, or make people, feel how I'm feeling about it, or kind of go on a journey with me.
Okay.
And it's an old school album in the sense that put your headphones on or get in front of the speakers, and put the album on from start to finish.
Absolutely,
you can dip in if you want, but it's a journey. If you've got an hour, come on, we've all got
music in general isn't consumed like that anymore.
It's not
dip in and out, and it's just the instant gratification. This is heartily encourage people to listen to the whole thing from start to finish with your headphones on. So and that takes us to the tale of you and I. I mean, that's a 7.5 minute stunner, isn't it? Really. So,
well, yeah. It's a long song, but that again, I didn't want to just repeat verse and chorus and do a middle eight and do an outro and all of that with these songs. I wanted it to change because my favourite albums, like Pink Floyd and David Bowie and I wanted to, and I like a lot of jazz now, and I listen to a lot of.
I wouldn't have expected that. Actually.
Yeah, no, I listen to a lot of jazz.
Okay.
So because I don't like if I listen to music, I analyse it.
Yeah.
So if I'm listening to a pop song, whether it's from now or from years ago, I will take it apart and listen to it, and sometimes it makes it hard work.
Okay.
So I kind of like jazz because it takes me somewhere I don't know where it's going, and so so I like a lot of jazz. So there's a little bit of jazz in this album,
cool,
and especially on this track because it kind of goes off on one. And so the first bit is really kind of the tale of you and I and our demise.
Okay.
Right. So that's what it says in the song. And it's just it's just setting the scene, and it's a kind of a bridge. And I wanted to write a narrative, so it was coherent, but it wasn't like a musical. Do you know what I mean? Because
it can be.
It's quite a borderline, isn't it? Whether it can be quite contrived.
Yeah. Okay.
And I didn't want it to be contrived, so it's all my feelings, and I'm quite good at just being brutally honest, and I am now, and self-inquiring and saying, how is it really? How do I want people to see, what people can see how things are, but how is it really?
Yeah, right.
What is the truth? And that's what matters to me, is being able to know myself. And if I know myself, then hopefully I can be a better person, because if I know myself, then I can react and act differently. I don't have to keep making them same mistakes. And that's the key to it, is stop making the same mistakes, stop doing the same things and expecting to get a different result, because that's what I've been doing all my life.
Right.
Well, this time it's going to be all right, but not, it just ends up back.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So the tale of you and I and our demise is really about a relationship, and, it's about that person, me, in this instance, in the narrative of this song and the album, and the partner has left. The wife, the girlfriend, whoever you want to put it to yourself, or boyfriend, or whatever.
Is the partner alcohol in this instance?
No.
Okay.
The partner is just like, everyone's going to leave you, really.
Oh, I see.
If you're an arsehole and the only thing you care about, really, is drinking above all else, because that's what happens when people are alcoholics. They don't really want to, but they put it above everything else. They know what's going to happen, but yet they still do it because they can't help it.
Lying to themselves.
So that's kind of it's a story of being there and having that realization. Shit, what have I done?
Okay,
she's gone, and now I'm here. Right. And there's a line in "I'm still the madman in the mirror with a gun," or "Still the madman in the mirror with a stare," because no matter what you do, you still got to look at yourself.
Yeah, right.
So it's very. And that's really it. It took me to some dark places, and that's kind of it. It's kind of that the character in the story, which is me, is singing that about she's gone, and he's on his own, and he's on his own. He's waiting for the birds to sing, and he's waiting for the phone to ring. He's waiting for it to be all right again, but it doesn't, and then it kind of goes off on one, and it goes into this musical piece. And within that musical piece is a motif. As a guitar motif that is repeated a couple of times throughout the album, and I just wanted to kind of tie it in. And then there's a whole bit. There's a whole bit where it kind of goes back to reminiscing, about how it used to be, and then it goes off on one into this really nice guitar solo, and then into a sax solo.
Fantastic.
Which I love, and then that kind of bridges into the third song, which is Night and Day.
Night and Day, okay.
And so it's the title of the album, and that kind of it's only a short song,
right? Yeah.
So it's a verse, bridge, and chorus.
Right. Okay. So you'd say from going from the tale of you and I mean, I think that it's you wanted music to be as emotive as the lyrics, didn't you?
Yeah.
Whereas this goes into something where you want to be a bit freer. You can feel that coming, really, can't you?
Yeah, and there's no constraints, is there?
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. And especially we were saying earlier that the music industry has changed, but on the flip side, it's great because you can put out whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
You do it in
whatever
your bedroom. On your laptop or whatever you've got, your system, and then you can put it out, and you can. It's in your hands. You put it out, so there's no constraints. And I just wanted to experiment a bit because, there's not going to be a lot of singles released from this album.
Right.
It's just a piece of work, a piece of music, and it's what I needed to do.
Right.
Cool. I do think that I experimented quite well with the feeling, but within other instruments, which was a new thing for me.
Right.
Because I'm a rhythm guitarist rather than a lead guitarist. I would never palm myself off as a lead guitarist, although I can play lead.
Yeah, you can.
And I've become better at it, but I wanted to get the feeling instead of through the lyrics and through the voice. I wanted the feeling to come out my fingers and play. So. And I can hear it in my head, so why can't it come out? So that's what I've done. I just thought, I'm going to transfer that.
Fantastic. Yeah, it really comes
hopefully,
across.
Hopefully it does, yeah.
Absolutely. One of this... alcohol's a standout track for me. Excuse me. But especially Drury Lane.
Drury Lane, yeah.
So, I love this song. It reminds me... it reminds me of Gorillaz a bit, actually, and that sort of a bit of a ska sort of feel, and the how it drives, really. So obviously Drury Lane. This is about growing up in London.
Yes. So it's another song that was written before, and it just works for the narrative. I grew up in London. My aunt lived in Drury Lane. Well, she actually lived in Wild Street. If anyone knows London, Drury Lane goes up here, and Wild Street's down the other side, and in the middle. Is the old Peabody Flats. Right. The Peabody Flats were made for poor people back in the 1800s.
Oh, right.
And a big block of flats. But she lived there, and in the middle of the flats was the old playground and everything. And there was just hundreds of kids, and it was brilliant. So I grew up because my mum and dad were working. I used to go and not live there, but I used to go and stay with her for the whole summer holidays or any times. And then I went to school in Drury Lane, St Clement Danes. Right. Because I went to school in Kentish Town. My nan died and no one could look after me. So I went to the school where my cousin was, called St Clement Danes in Drury Lane. And so I grew up, after school, go to my aunt's and then go out and play on my bike. And back in the day, we just had the West End as our playground.
Incredible, yeah.
On choppers or BMXs, wow. I think. By that time, by the time we got, it was probably BMXs we had.
Right.
And on a Sunday, everything was shut.
Right.
So on a Sunday, everything was shut. So
just going around the West End.
My mum and dad would go to the pub with my aunt and everybody, and it was a big culture in the pub in White Lion in Covent Garden, and. I remember the smell of the pub, I loved pubs because everyone was having a good time. I loved the smell of it. I loved the fact that all these people were having such a good time. So that's kind of ingrained in me.
Right.
And they used to go, and we used to go and play out. But we used to go ride down the middle of Oxford Street on a Sunday.
Okay.
There's no one there. It's like lockdown, I guess. If you do it in lockdown.
Yeah. But some great lyrics in that, the sound of the underground, and sort of the smell of the underground.
Smell of the underground,
the ice cream van.
Oh yeah, that was a big thing. The ice cream van. Oh, it's a sharp Auntie Lynn. Just throw me down some money, and then. So that kind of it all ties in. But it's about reminiscing, and so that kind of ties in to the narrative because not only is it about the album about alcohol and how it's affected me, it's about me looking back all the time.
Right.
It's about that retrospection and how you can't look back, but it's good to reminisce and then put it all down. And I wanted to kind of say, well, this was the past, and I'm putting it all in. And I wanted to do it justice, that song, because Drury Lane, and it reminds me of going there as a kid. And my cousin Mark used to have Dexys Midnight Runners On, or the Police,
all right,
you know, or the Specials. So like Ghost Town, you know, every time I hear a Ghost Town, you know, as soon as it comes on, I just think of those times.
It reminds me of the Specials, or the modern take on it, really.
So that's what
Gorillaz in there, and a bit of Damon Albarn.
Because I love Damon Albarn. I think he is, like, people say, you know, that people are geniuses and that, and they put it out.
Very much so.
They put it out, but I think he is. He's a modern day genius.
He really is.
Yeah, I think so.
I went to see his version, the Monkey. You know, so he did. Remember Monkey Magic?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. So it's like a late sort of, is it 16th, 17th century Chinese classic?
Right.
And he actually did a whole opera version of it, and it
really
was absolutely amazing.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I went to see it in Manchester, and yeah, I mean,
how did I miss that?
Yeah. Oh man, yeah, check it out.
Yeah.
I think you could probably see it on YouTube now, but yeah, it was a piece of art. It was amazing. But I've read that book anyway. You know, it's Buddhist piece of.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, really cool. But yeah, he's. I didn't get him at first. You know, just kind of, you know, the early 90s. I mean, you know, There's No Other Way, and I loved a lot of the Blur stuff. But I don't know. We just kind of got peppered with it, didn't we? You know.
Yeah, I mean, and when you're in it as well, they're your contemporaries, and you know, I think I was probably a bit jealous of people, if I'm honest.
I might have been. Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, so I'd say, that shit. That shit. But really, now I look back, you know, I should have been saying these guys are good. You know, you need to be, you know, learning.
Amazing.
You can learn off people. But I love Damon Albarn, so there is a little bit of that, and I think that goes through the album as well.
I think that will resonate with a lot of people in London and around that.
I think so. Yeah. You know, and if it does, brilliant. You know, it's there. And again, that goes off on a tangent as well. There's a lot of jazz in there as well. There's a lot of sax, a lot of trumpets, and you know, a lot of brass and a big string bit. And it kind of, what I wanted it to be was a dream.
Yeah.
And you helped me with that, with the harmonies and everything, and the structure of that.
I love that bit.
And it kind of goes off. So it kind of is a dream within the narrative of this album. Amazing. So that's why it's there. It's not there as because it's referencing alcohol or the Abbott Effect. It's just me looking back, and I think that kind of goes in and out, you know, throughout the album.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, that brings us to Market Town.
Market Town, yes.
So yeah,
another long song.
Yeah,
and that's kind of a couple of songs put together. But I wrote that song. I think me and Kat were out in town, and we were walking down the hill.
So this is about Chesterfield then, yeah?
It kind of is, and it could be any market town, but I wrote it on, you know, because the words are rolling down the hill, God knows where we've been, rolling down the hill to where we lay. And but then it's about that feeling of laying there and wanting to carry on drinking because you know, and then the next day going out, and how quickly you would sink, you know, because you've got to top it up, you've got to get rid of those feelings, and you need it to survive, you know. And then again it goes off on one, so it's kind of, it's that narrative, and it's that about, you know, being in this market town, but it could be anywhere. And it's a little bit about, you know, feeling hard done by because you haven't made it, you know. And a lot of it's wrapped up, you know, the whole addiction thing for me is wrapped up in that feeling that, you know, there was something missing, you know, I didn't quite make it, and I needed to prove to myself more than anyone else. So you kind of, you know, what will it take for the people to hear my song?
Absolutely, totally. It's got a real Floydy feel to that, I've got to say, in a really good way, you know, and epic as well, you know.
Nice.
So is that the sound you're going for on that one? Or?
Yeah, definitely, and it kind of changes into that Chemical Generation type thing, and so it's kind of like, it's like a bit of the way I saw when I was writing this, is like a flashback. Like in a film or, you know, a TV program, you know, when you're getting the story going on and then it flashes back.
Right,
you know, because that's life, isn't it? One time we're thinking about doing something, and then we're making a coffee, and we're thinking about when we were 6 years old, you know, and that's how our minds work, and that's how life works, and unless you resolve the past, it will always be something that troubles you.
Yeah,
if it
back and haunt you.
it does, yeah. So it's about resolving the past. This is therapy, Aaron.
It really is, isn't it?
Yeah,
yeah. Do you want to talk about those lyrics? Guilty as charged for having it large. I love that line. Yeah. I don't know if you do or.
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? But I am. That was it. You know, because that sums it up. You know, I always had it large. I always went for it. You know, I couldn't just go out and have a few beers. I wanted because I just loved the party. I loved the feeling.
Yeah.
I loved that camaraderie you get with everyone. You know, celebrating life.
It rolls off your tongue as well. That phrase. I mean, you know, I lived down south in High Wycombe for a bit, and I could get into London in half an hour on the train into Marylebone. But having it large.
It's having it large.
Yeah.
Fantastic. A lot of these things are tongue in cheek, you know, and there's it's a little bit, you know.
Right.
It's they're just nods in the right direction. Of so that kind of that works, and I thought I put that in there because that is true. You know, if I am guilty of anything, it was essentially at wanting to party to last forever. You know, but the party can't last forever. Whether it be tonight, I wanted it to just carry on because I loved it, but then it turned dark.
Yeah, when did the hangovers just suddenly start getting worse? I mean, we used to be able to handle it and just go out and do whatever we wanted. Yeah. And was it sort of like early 20s, then mid 20s, I don't
know.
And then it starts getting suicidal, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, it can get dark. And I think it all depends on how you know, whether you're honest with yourself. You've got to resolve all the things. You know, you've got to know yourself. You've got to be
interesting about knowing yourself. I mean, you know, the writing that's been so good for me. You know, every morning 3 pages, and the stuff that comes out. It doesn't always come out at first. You know, you get a load of crap sometimes, but just do it, and the diligence of doing it. It's really good.
Oh, it's a good
discipline.
Oh, you've got to be disciplined with it, but that is your own therapy.
Yeah.
You know.
So you're talking to yourself, and also whilst you're writing, it's like, nah, I'm kidding myself there. So,
well, that's the thing. You got to be honest.
And then that honesty comes as well. It's an amazing process to go through. I heartily recommend the morning pages and the Artist's Way. That's another part of it. So I mean, let's go on to Cosmic Symphony.
Well, Cosmic Symphony it's part of the narrative. Because the album is autobiographical, really, and I kind of had a kind of spiritual awakening. I lived in Cardiff. It was around about 2011, 2012, and I had a spiritual awakening. I was doing a lot of work, like reading, and because I wanted to, because I've always had that yearning that there's something missing here.
Yeah.
You know, there's got to be more to it than this. Right. And I think that was a lot why I used psychedelics and, used drugs and that in the 90s, because I was glimpsing that truth.
Yeah.
And so I had a spiritual awakening as I was running, and it was like downloading. It was almost like I downloaded all this information, and then I was totally different.
Sometimes you get those moments of clarity, and it's like ping. But this was actually you actually kind of. It's like you got it.
Yeah, it was like a light bulb moment, and I got it, and I downloaded this information, and then as soon as I did, I felt so good, and I felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders, and it was like I knew everything.
Right. Wow.
And then I slumped. I remember being in my car, and I was coaching at the time at Cardiff, and I remember having to go to work, and I just pulled round into a lay-by, and I got in the back and went to sleep. Like the depression hit me, like it was like having a mad weekend,
right.
On drugs and drink, and then you come down. It was that. I come down, but I didn't know why. Nothing made any sense anymore, and nothing seemed like it was worth it.
So the realisation of what had happened just really kind of it was exhausting.
I can't explain it because I had no reference point.
Right.
So I didn't know that I'd had a spiritual awakening.
Okay.
I didn't know that I'd had a spontaneous spiritual awakening.
Okay.
But what comes with that is this feeling of despair after, because and I've done some research on it after, and a lot of people have had that because they can't handle it. They've got no one to teach them and push them. Right, okay, this skin, you've got to go through the other side of this. Yeah. Okay. So I kind of and then I lost it then, and I went and I was depressed. I ended up in rehab.
Wow.
I put myself in rehab because the only way I could I was spinning out, and I was having these heart palpitations. It was like I was gonna everything was converging into a point, and it was like I was going to cease to exist
Jeez.
in this point. And I was spinning, and my heart would go, and I thought I was going to have a heart. You know, it's like a panic attack, but I was having a heart attack,
no.
and it was like I was dissolving into a point.
Jeez.
And it was like I was clambering in my mind, you know, to hold on, you know, like you're slipping down a hole,
like the ego death or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I fought it because I had no reference point. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't have anyone to guide me through. And also, I was standing at the side of a pitch trying to teach kids, you know, football on a Sunday morning, and I was disappearing into this point. So and the only thing that I could quash it, I had to leave and drive, and I was drinking heavily because that was the only thing that could stop it, because it was scary. I suppose it's a little bit like if you've taken strong psychedelics and then that death, isn't it? That ego death, like you said, but without taking any drugs and without knowing why it's happening, so you think you're going mad.
So it wasn't brought on by any of the books you'd started to read. Did that come later?
I was reading, and I was like a seeker, as it were, you know. Is this it? Is that the truth? Is this the truth? Going, you know, flitting from one thing to another.
Like Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, Bhagavad Gita. I hadn't quite got onto that yet. I was doing all sorts of different stuff and reading stuff, and then I got into that after.
Okay.
And really got into Paramahansa Yogananda, autobiography of a yogi. Someone said to read that, and I read that, and then I got into the Self-Realisation Fellowship, and I'd done a course with that. That was after, you know, once I'd got rid of all this, because it's not conducive with a normal life. You know, if you're having these panic attacks and you feel like you're going to die and you don't know why, and you're not, you might be spiritual, you might have had a spontaneous spiritual awakening, but you're not equipped. No. You haven't got the capacity to understand it, and you've not got the knowledge. So you haven't got anything to go by, you know. So you don't understand, and there's no path. So it was a pretty dark time.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. I'm talking about some of the lyrics. I mean, you're the conchas of a cosmic symphony.
Yeah. Because you know, that's in the Bhagavad Gita. It's about the conchas with you know, Krishna speaks to Arjuna, and you know they're having this battle, but the battle is in his mind. You know. So, like, it's not the battle of these two families, really. It's the inner battle in his mind. And Krishna is his consciousness, and, you know, he's talking to him, and he's guiding him through it. But there's a lot of reference to conscious in there, and, in Hinduism and stuff. And, you know, Native American throughout, you know, from North America all the way down, you know, they use the conch as a signal. And that kind of just evoked that imagery for me, you know. I hear the conches of this cosmic symphony, kind of what I heard and downloaded for that brief moment where it was all right, you know, and I understood, you know, I didn't need to understand it because it just was, you know, for a minute, or for 10 minutes or an hour or something.
Excellent. Yeah, we've got a lot of parallel lives here. You know, I've been through similar myself, but we've both been to India and love it.
Oh yeah, I love it.
I mean, to be in India now, jeez.
Oh, it'd be lovely.
Yeah.
I don't think I really appreciated it when I was there as much as I could have now, because I was boozing. You know, it's not really. I was pissed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean,
Kingfisher, obviously. But like, what was the Old Monk? Did you have Old Monk there? No. And the honeybee, the rum, that was beautiful.
Oh wow!
You missed out.
Yeah,
boozing other stuff. But yeah, I love India, man. I'd go back there in an instant.
So, I got a kind of a strange affinity with the culture and with Hinduism
definitely.
And with India, and I don't know why. You know, I've always had it.
Yeah.
And it kind of come from the beat. You know, Beatles turned me on. You know, with the sitar and George Harrison and all that, and then what George Harrison was getting into spiritually, kind of turned me on to it. Right. But I've always had kind of a leaning towards it for some reason. God knows why.
Yeah. And you meditate now, don't you?
Meditate, yeah.
Okay.
It's key.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've worked it into my life as well, and it just stops the noise, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah.
The biggest difference I saw was when I was in Australia, not last year, the year before now, about 2 years ago, and I can remember this stuff going into my head, and I'd been practicing the meditation, and then suddenly I was like, no, I don't want to think about that. Right, okay.
Yeah.
And it was that easy. And it's so simple, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, it's such a simple thing.
Well, people
You
make
take
it harder.
Yeah, you can make it hard
Yeah.
for yourself. You just got to keep practicing, really,
Yeah.
you know, and don't expect something overnight. Same with the writing as well. Don't expect, but it'll happen. It'll let it come to you.
It will.
So cool, that's fantastic. Cosmic Symphony, yeah.
That's
And yeah, before, this sort of stuff was like suppressed by alcohol, you think?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, I was trying to look for that spiritual path, but I think it was because alcohol kind of just soaks,
anaesthetises you.
Yeah, it soaks up you. For me, it's like it's not conducive with a spiritual life being, you know.
Mm-hmm.
For me,
Right.
you know, some people, you know, that helps them, but for me, it wasn't. But the reason why it's in, because you know, I had that kind of spiritual awakening and I was looking for that. But then that ended up bringing me back to alcohol, you know, so, you know, and that's...
So it brought you back to alcohol?
Yeah, because I didn't understand it. I was drinking to get rid of the feeling.
Jeez, right.
So it was almost, you know, using alcohol to get rid of that feeling. But then I wasn't wrapped around anyone. I didn't have anyone that knew about it. And, you know, so that kind of was the beginning of the dark times.
Right, wow. When
it should have been the beginning of, you know, the light, you know, and seeing, but that was when I started going right downhill. But, you know, and previous to that, times are pretty bad. You know, I've had bad periods where, you know, really bad rock bottoms, but that was kind of when it started to get a bit dark. I moved to Sheffield, you know, all in the space of this time. And but I always had the thing of, you know, why didn't I carry on doing the music, you know, because I'd left the music, and so it was always coming back around. So by self-inquiring, by knowing myself now, I realise all this, and I realise what the demons keep coming back up. And know, why am I drinking? I've got to resolve all these things. I've got, you know, it's a bit like My Name Is Earl. He's got that list, you know.
The bucket list.
You know, it's a karma thing, you know, and all these things. But if you don't understand yourself and you don't know why you're making the same mistakes over and over again, you will keep doing it. So that Cosmic Symphony was a little shout towards I was feeling then, and you know, and then it quickly goes in, and I don't know what the next was.
It's Go Blind.
Go blind. So you're going from that feeling of, you know, I know everything, and that Cosmic Symphony, and I can hear everything. I mean, we've all had that. We've all had that, whether we've been like stoned or whether we've been on psychedelics or drinking, or we just had a good day. You know, and we've gone out into the countryside and we've breathed the fresh air and we've seen the majestic view. You know, especially ones we got around here. You know, and you can feel that. You might be glimpsing. You can feel that. Yes, I know now. You know, that moment of peace. That moment of clarity where it all just seems right, and we've all had it, but it goes and then Go Blind was the next song, and then again they all got that theme of you either looking back, reminiscing, and that was some dark times, and I think you know, some of that I wrote before, but so like Go Blind is the next track, and that kind of, I think I wrote that lyric about my mum like years ago. I think I said it to you before. Is it sort of, you know, it's just that
about seeing your mum upset.
Because I just brought so much pain on people.
You
know, like I've been in prison.
You
know, because of you know, for drink driving.
Wow.
You know, I've been in rehab. You know, and we went in rehab because I was threatening to kill myself. You know. This is when I was younger.
Wow.
It's always been dark. It's always been very dark. It's gone very dark. It's like I read something or I saw something somewhere on that alcohol you know, when you get into, you know, you can be possessed by dark forces. You know. When people are talking about alcohol and now it makes them, you know, when they. I do think you're leaving yourself open, especially if you're, you know, you got susceptible to that, and like empathic, you know, where you feel things heightened, you know, a bit sensitive, and I think you can let the demon in, you know, and I think that's what happened in the end. You know, you become you because if anyone knows when they're drinking, I'll be me. and then all of a sudden I won't be there anymore. It's almost like I've gone and Angus has taken over, you know, the alter ego.
Yeah.
And
so Angus is your.
Yeah.
So he's got a name.
He's got a name.
Oh, right, okay.
Which is sad.
Why
in itself.
Angus? No, not necessarily.
I think I had a friend called Chris Brady, and I was producing his album, and like poor Chris Brady used to come and stay with me, and I had my studio in Cardiff, and a bit like your album where we were writing together and we were doing stuff, and you know, but he would come and I'd be in this mad studio. It was like he came into like an alternate universe, you know what I mean? And I'd be there, and when I'd been boosted up, and then he called me Angus McBurtle, I think.
Oh, right.
Angus, but you know, that was my alter ego, Angus McBurtle, because I turned into like that. Yeah. Wow. But you can see that kind of me go and someone else take over.
Okay.
And I think there's a lot of that, you know, those dark times that come with alcohol. And Go Blind was about the time when because I'd put my mum and dad through hell and my family through hell. And I think it was seeing her cry, do you know what I mean? In that moment of clarity, like, fucking hell, what am I doing to these people around me? Yeah. Do you know, I was like, it's pretty hard work.
There are those lyrics in there, aren't there? So, baby, 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 I will go blind when I see you cry.
Yeah, and I think that was an old lyric from before, and I think I wrote that with my mum in mind. But the verses, it's quite a simple song, and the verses are about how, you know, that dark room, you know, where you end up in that dark room, where people with addiction... or people who've had it large, a bit too much, you know, or depression, you know, you'll end up in that dark place where no one can really understand what you're going through, you know, because, you know, we talk about people when you talk about people in mental institutions, and, you know, there's lots of people that were just different, you know, and got put away into mental institutions and never come out again, you know, because they're in that dark place. And
do you think this is, you know, part of, you know, the sort of ecstasy generation and the, you know, the acid generation, the late 80s, early 90s are coming through a bit?
I do. I sometimes think, you know, maybe took too many E's back in the day. Well, I know I did, you know what I mean? It was a ridiculous amount. It depleted my serotonin reserves, you know. Okay. And then it can't really be, you know, there's no such thing as normal, but... You know, you're not quite. You don't know how to do life.
You never find it
difficult.
Yourself.
Yeah, you never. You know, and it's a difficult thing. I mean, that's another thing altogether. I'm not qualified to talk about. I can only really talk about myself. But I think that you're right. Okay. Maybe.
Yeah, possibly.
But you know, I think the alcohol at the end, that was what was doing it to me, and the drugs and the alcohol, and then you ended up in that dark place where I think it's too much cavorting between the low and the high, you know, and then I think it's about being in that lonely place, but then looking and saying, like, you know, what am I doing to everyone else? Okay. Because if you've got half an ounce of decency about you, you know, you would worry about what other people are feeling because of your actions, but then that is the cycle. Because then you can't deal with your feelings, and I think that's half the battle with me is I can't deal with aggro and feelings, and I would pick up the drink. Okay. That'll be my answer, to pick up.
I mean, Anthony Kiedis, I don't know if you've read his book.
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Chili Peppers. And half of his battle, he goes around in these sort of cycles as well. You know, possibly quite a lot more than you. Not to take anything away from yours as well, but you know, some of the, you know, they did quite a lot of heroin and speedballs and crack and stuff like that. But yeah, it all came from actually when he left someone and he couldn't handle hurting someone else. Yeah. You know, but then it's a cycle, you know, but that was what the people in the in rehab said to him. That it was a commonality.
Yes.
You know, it just kept coming back all the time. So that's an interesting.
There is a
and I
similarity.
Hate, you know, I hate hurting people. I mean, I don't think anybody actually. Well, some people do go out to hurt people, don't they? But
some people don't care, you know, and that's all right for them. You know, that's up to them. Yeah. You know, but if you do care, you don't want to hurt people, you know, you want to be, and you don't, you know, we can say we don't care what people think about us, but we don't want the people around us, you don't want to hurt.
No, of course
you know,
not. No.
And I think you're the same, and I think that we're quite the same, and we're kind of a conflict between the characters, you know, that rock and roll, and trying to be like Buddha.
Bang on.
You know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't really go together.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, pick a side.
But yeah, you know, since I've not been drinking as well, you know, it's so much clearer. So yeah, you know, that's the side I'm on.
Yeah.
And obviously, you know, in that song of mine, you know, God, Escape, you know, Escape from Alcatraz. So,
Yeah, great song.
So alcohol was part of that, you know.
Yeah.
So Alcatraz and alprazolam, which was a sleeper.
Yeah.
You know, so obviously
Lethal
found the
combination.
word, and a play on the word, you know, Alcatraz, which is a prison.
Of course.
And in the end of that song, which we put together really well, I'm really happy with that. But you know, you got the sort of demons. I'm so stupid. I'm not stupid, and we put that in the speakers as well. Haven't we? So really happy how that came out.
It's a great song.
Yeah,
I really love that, and I do think that you take when people listen to it, they'll really go on a journey with you.
I hope so. Yeah.
And it descends into that. You know,
it descends into hell.
Yeah.
Like even within do.
Yeah.
The steps into hell. Yeah. So yeah, completely get where you're coming from there, man. And going on to I Won't Remember. You know, you got the continual patterns of affecting people there as well.
Yeah. So I think what I Won't Remember is kind of like a flip side from. It's like this kind of sung in the throes of that alcohol addiction, you know. It's like I don't want to know what you're saying to me because I'm having a good time, you know, and yes, we know what's going to happen, we know it's all going to, you know, end up like shit, end in tears, but we're going down it because once I get the flavour, that's it. I've got the flavour. You know, I've got the taste, and we all get that. But you know, where's it going to go? You got to wind on the tape. Is it going to end in you going to bed and everything be all right? You know, and you've had a great night, and tomorrow you see something. Oh, we had a great night last night. Or is it going to end up? What have I done? You know, oh God, who have I upset?
Whiskey texting.
Is the police sirens for me?
Right.
You know, have I got cuts on my hands? Have I had a fight? You know, you don't know, do you? So just can't be bothered with that shit no more. So that's kind of, that song is a bit like, you got me drinking, you got me running. So it's kind of a flip side to the other ones where I'm, you know, feeling a bit remorseful. This is a kind of, the character of that song is in it.
Okay, right, yeah. Gotcha.
And he's saying, you know, I won't remember tomorrow.
Yeah. So that's not Angus though, or is it Angus?
That's Angus, of course. That's Angus. That's Angus. Angus is there. You know, that's my alter ego. That's
I think you've got a few actually. But
there's a few, but that one is more like, you know, it's brutal.
Right.
So if you're going to write songs, you've got to be, you know, you've got to be subjective, and you've got to write from that point of view, and you've got to write from in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And in the middle of it is a bit of a like rock and roll nightmare. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, Ray, come on, let's go. Dragging everyone into the whirlwind, into the hurricane.
I know
you know what I mean? I had a
yeah.
storm, but sort of thing. But you know, so that's that. And I think that drops down into
every time.
Every time. So then that's a different.
Every time's beautiful, man. So is that like that's really personal?
That's personal, yeah. That's like, can you self-inquire? Can you really put your finger on it? And are you honest enough to say it so that other people can hear it? I mean, because let's face it, it takes a bit of, you know, bottle and guts to actually sit here and say, right, I'm an alcoholic. I've been an alcoholic for a long time, but I'm a recovering alcoholic, and I'm trying my best. You know, I'm trying to do things differently. You know, and that every time, that kind of made me cry when I wrote it. When it come out, but it just came out.
Brutally honest. Yeah.
And then again, you're looking at like, you know, can you be in touch with yourself that much to, you know, to write that? And
some people are scared of going to those places, aren't they?
They are.
They call it shadow work, I think, don't they? So,
do they?
Yeah. When you look into shadow, I think that's from Jungian psychology.
Right.
And there's a whole bit about shadow work in there. But like talking to your shadow, you know. And I've done, you know, quite a lot of that myself.
Yeah, you have.
But yeah, it comes out in this song. It's, you know, really cathartic, and you know, we can really tell how it is and how you deal with things in there. Yeah,
and it's kind of it's a dark song as well, because it says, you know, you want to put an end to the pain and the hurt.
Right.
And that's about feeling suicidal. You know, what makes someone? How dark does it have to be for someone with, you know, with kids and with a life?
Is it an illness, or is it a combination of things?
That's the illness about, for me. I can't say for anyone else. Because that can be for depression, it could be for drug, you know, it could be anything. It could just be because you feel like that. Who knows? I don't know. I'm not qualified to say, but for me, it is all down to alcohol. It takes me to that place where I will you know, life is precious.
Right.
I will fight for my life because I love living and I want to be around for my kids. It's instinctive.
Yeah.
But what makes you want to take that away from yourself?
Yeah.
It's a fucking dark.
Really is. I've been
dark.
there a few times myself.
Yeah.
I've gone round and sort of looked for like a bit of chord or something like that. When you're on it, and you know, and not being drunk or on anything really, you know, just like just darkness.
Yeah,
and I just didn't have the bottle. Yeah, no, I didn't have the bottle. But you know,
thank God.
Then, yeah. But where's that come from?
I know what makes a person do that.
Yeah.
That's some serious shit.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
And you know, it needs to be addressed with people. You know, because life is precious. We're here for a reason. You know, we can make it as good or as bad, no matter what we've got going on.
Yeah.
But you know, that's some dark.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
dark
I mean,
times.
I didn't have the bottle. Some people do. You know, I've lost some really close friends to suicide, and it's. I mean, especially these times at the moment, it's just. I mean, God, it's through the roof, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not even being reported properly, the actual figures. But I know a lot of stuff's coming out of the London ambulance people. Who are
Really?
speaking out of it, but even that's been, you know, it's been censored. So you know,
Yeah, I do think it's a lack of. Someone once said, spiritually barren. Right? They said about me. They said your problem with you, Danny, at the moment, you're spiritually barren.
Wow.
And I think it's a lack of understanding, and we're trying to get instant gratification from everything. We've been bombarded with information.
Okay.
We're always thinking, you know. There's never a moment when we can get into the gap, when we can go into that space, like talking about that meditation space in the gap. I think Deepak Chopra calls it the gap. You know,
right?
The potential of everything. You know,
right? Yeah.
You know, everything that ever was.
So many distractions now, so maybe that's what, you know, it's coming together a bit more now.
Yeah, and I think we just haven't. We've got a lack of that in our society. You know, we're us, you know, some people are just on Facebook all the time, and their own self-worth is because of other people, you know, putting it on other people. How many likes can I get? If I haven't got any likes, no one's liked it. You know, and, you know, you've done all the work, and you've put, or even if you're putting a picture out as a kid, and you know, then someone's slating it off. So all your self-worth is wrapped up with other people. But we've got to know that everything's in here. You know, you can't find anything out there. No one, no thing, no person is going to give you that. And unless we go there and find that the answers are here, and we sit with it. And no one wants to sit with it anymore, do they? You know, no one wants to sit with the pain. No one
wants to go there.
No one wants any pain. No one wants pain, but so we quash it with other things.
You need to do it, and it's a cathartic process, and it's hard, man, but
So it's a dark place.
It'll make you the man you are, or the
if you
woman
can,
you are.
It's not easy, is it? It's like anything,
no.
it's not easy. But
Not
if you
at all.
don't use it, for me, if I don't use a drink or drug, you know, to take away that pain, and I sit with, you know, everything will pass. You know, everything is a cycle. You know, it will pass. I think we've said it to each other before. It will pass.
we have.
You know, we're feeling, but it will pass.
Absolutely, but, big
you know.
time, man. Great song though. So you know,
Thank you.
just really heartily encourage people to listen to that, and very deep, really really good. So onto the girl. I mean, you got a bit of self-inquiry here as well.
Yes, the girl is a kind of it's not meant to be taken literally, you know, because it's like it's showing a side where you're blaming everyone else. You know that you're the problem. The problem is alcohol, and the problem, or drugs, or whatever you are, or what you're just, you know, an arsehole that needs to be sorted himself out, and then you're blaming everyone else. So I'm blaming that the girl, and saying, you know, why have you fallen from your pedestal? You know, but really. And then someone was unsure of the lyric, and it says, why are you saying the girl has no face? I thought it was blatantly obvious. She's got no face because I've erased her from my memory, but it probably wasn't. You know, and that's what it is. It's the girl who has no face because I'm erasing her because it's causing me too much pain, and I'm putting the blame on her. It's her fault, but really it's my behaviour, and you know, my cycle of behaviour that's doing it. So that's the reason why that's in there. But it's.
Yeah, there's something to be said about taking responsibility. I mean, I think Jocko Willink wrote a book about taking ultimate responsibility.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you know, even when it's not your fault, you know, it's just,
Yeah.
oh no, you know, I forgot. I need to look into that. It's a really really good concept. I've forgotten about the ins and outs of it. All this COVID bullshit. But
yeah, of course.
Yeah,
but there is a thing. There's a. I think it's in. I went to in AA, which is say when you're wrong, promptly admit it.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, and you know that's the same principle. You know, if we can take responsibility on a daily basis of what we've done and admit where we're wrong, you know.
Okay.
If we can admit it, then we're on the path, you know. And I think that's the same concept. I think you know.
Yeah, it's called extreme ownership, Jocko Willink. So yeah, you got to own. I mean, it's a bit of an American sort of way of saying it. You know, you own that. But yeah, it's you know, you can see what's meant by that.
Of course, and you have to, you know, and that's kind of what that song is about. It's not meant to be taken literally. It's meant to be another side of the, you know, the multi-faced, you know, problem, you know. So, and it's a bit of self-inquiry in there, but you've got to, if you have to get to that place, don't you, to say, well, I admit it. You know, it's not me, but I am blaming everyone else.
Yeah, you can end up alienating other people, can't you?
Of course you can.
So yeah, definitely. Okay, on to Half a Chance. I mean, this was one beautiful day in the summer.
It was
when I was coming over to record my album, and you'd written some bits already. And it's one of those beautiful days. Well, beautiful day outside, but inside as well, because we just bounced off each other, didn't we?
Oh, we did. That was I think that was the first time we wrote together.
Yeah, brilliant.
And what it was is I was. It's only in hindsight that I can see that now. It's like the bit that the first bit that I had that we was writing before we started writing together was because I was had a row with someone who was in the band with me, and he's quite close to me. And we'd had a falling out, and we'd all gone our separate ways, that kind of band type thing.
Yeah.
Well, he'd gone off and said he didn't want anything to do with it. But I thought I was writing it about him, the first bit.
Okay.
There you go, you've thrown it all away in that bit.
Right, okay.
But really it's about me. The egos rule the day and all of that. So that's the beautiful thing about writing. When you do it at a time, you think I needed to do it because I didn't want to have a row with him too much. I didn't want it to leave it, but I was
get it out another way.
And then we started writing
all the archetypes. Weren't we?
That's right. We started writing together, and then you come up with all those great lyrics. And, And it was. See, that's another song. It's meant to be. I think. It kind of came out of that, didn't it? And it's about we've all got that in us. We've all got those different the archetypes in us, and and we think we're blaming others, but really we're blaming ourselves. And then it gets blurred. Yeah. And we don't really know. Is this about you or is this really about me?
I don't know. We just brainstorming, weren't they? But it just all came, didn't it?
Yeah.
So, very Beatlesy, that one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a great song. I love it.
Yeah, I love it.
And I love singing it. I love listening to it actually as well.
Me too.
You've done a grand job on it.
Yeah, it was all right, wasn't it? But just came to us. So fantastic. So hopefully many more of those as well.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And then on to I'm Cured. So. Is this more tongue-in-cheek, really?
It is, yeah.
Yeah?
Because you're never cured, are you? If you think...
Because this is yourself you are.
Yeah, well, this is the pattern of my life, I would say, right, well, I've not had a drink for 3 weeks. I'm sweet.
Right, yeah, okay.
And then, I'm cured. So it is, it's tongue-in-cheek. It's not meant to be taken literally. It's saying, as an alcoholic, recovering alcoholic... I'm never cured. If I could have 30 years not drinking, be back drinking and lose everything in 2 weeks.
Right.
That's the power of it. So it's about, that was just to keep me in check and say, well, I'm cured. But it is a bit of a celebration at the same time. It's a celebration.
I get that.
So half of it's about me, saying I'm never cured from it, and you just got to keep it in check. And the other thing is, I feel good, man. I feel good.
There is that.
Yeah.
So, and when you do feel good, like when you feel down, you can't see any other way. I'm just saying now. Well, I'm not drinking, and once you've gone past that 3 or 4 days, it's like, oh right, well,
it feels sweet. But there's something to be said for it. There's something to be said for not belittling your achievement of of feeling good, you know, and not having a drink or whatever, or not taking a drug, or you know, or doing the right thing, or helping others. So there's something to be said in that. So it is a bit of a celebration, and then at the end it goes into that kind of that dorsey kind of piano bit, and then it goes off on one.
About like, so not lying to yourself. You're on a loop. It's about knowing yourself. It's like and the depressant side of things. The vanity is doing the same thing over and over again.
That's the definition of insanity, and I think if you can break that cycle, then you're halfway there. You know what I mean? And I think this that. But Charles Clark is a great young guitarist, isn't he?
I think he's working on his own album at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah.
He had the EP out last year, which was really good.
Yeah, it was good. He's a really talented boy, and he played guitar on this one, and that guitar at the end is lovely.
Yeah, fantastic.
So I'm looking forward. I don't think he's heard it, so I'm looking forward.
Oh, has he not? Right, okay.
I should send it to him.
I've only seen him the once since. In fact, we got together just when we could to do the video, didn't we? At Real Time.
That's right.
Which was good fun. Yeah. With Bobby as well, and Simon Hall.
Yeah.
And that's where Simon met
Carl
and the M3 together. Yeah. So that was good stuff. Yeah, really good. And obviously, don't forget Kat sang on that as well.
Kat sang on that. She's done brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. And on my album as well. Yeah. Which has been fantastic. Thank you, Kat. So it brings us on to If Only. I mean, you sent me this and I stopped in my tracks when I was listening because I'd not heard it. Yeah, I mean, you'd had quite a few on the album, on the original Songs of Self-Loathing. You've taken a few off there, haven't you?
I did, yeah. I just wanted it to have a little bit more coherent.
That's really, I think it's a good choice actually. Now,
and that's a body of work.
Yeah, I mean, it was amazing in its own right, but it was a little bit more of a downer, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Whereas this is a bit of voyage and a bit of
there's a light shade,
which is night and day. It stopped me in my tracks. So I remember I was upstairs actually here, and you'd sent me the two you wanted the backing vocals doing on, and it was like, oh my god, straight away, and it all came to me straight away as well. So beautiful. It's encapsulating regret, isn't it? This song.
It is, and I think I kind of wrote it a little bit as I'd kind of fallen out with. I think Ronnie fell out with me, because for one reason or another, and I kind of wrote it as talking to him, because in Night and Day, the song Night and Day, I'm talking to a woman, so I'm talking to my wife, and that's about her. But then it uses that so it repeats it in If Only I, and then it's about, because the pattern was I'm either apologising to one person, and the pattern was I was always like, he's fucked up the band.
Right, okay.
Not only has he fucked it up for us, he's fucked it up, himself, and he's fucked it up for the band, and now no one wants to work with you anymore. And that kind of was a pattern, and I ruined it. If I'm honest, I ruined it. If I wasn't such a pisshead, I would have been a lot more successful, because it wasn't about the music anymore. It was about the booze and about the drugs and about the party and the celebration, where it's all about the music now. And so that kind of was like me kind of loosely kind of talking to him. That was how it started, saying sorry, but I got enough. I don't think so, no. And, and I think he'll get it, because I was kind of, back in the day, and when we talked about the guitarist and early on, the guitarist leaving and that's because of the rock and roll antics, and kind of took it a little bit too far. Was just always take it a little bit too far. So that's kind of like a, will it be all right? Tell me it'll be all right. Will they give me one more try? I'm talking about the band, and talking about that. So it really is the end song, and it's all also drawing a line under the past, under the 90s, under why did I not make it? Why did I not reach my full potential? And it is because I was an arsehole, because the booze and the drugs took over.
That's quite something to say, man.
I think it's the truth, and I think I can't recreate the past. I can't, recapture what's gone.
Yeah.
Because that's gone. And I think, with the first album, I was trying to, and then on the journey of self-inquiry from there to now, I realised, hang on a minute, this is what I was doing. I was trying to get it all back. I was trying to, make it all right again.
Okay, amazing.
Because I can write a song, and because it was on me, come on, where's the songs?
Right, yeah.
All right, I'll get another song, So they were looking at me to write the songs.
Okay.
And so that was the kind of thing, will they like this song? That's it.
Yeah, right, okay. Yeah, and so, if only, let's talk about some of the lyrics. If only I could do that, we could show the world.
Yeah.
I love that.
And I think that was me talking to my mate Ronnie, and saying, if only I'd done that, we could have shown the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's basically it. It's brutally honest.
Yeah, fantastic, man. Yeah, okay.
Cool.
What's something you when we talked about this before? The Akashic record.
Yes.
So is this song, or is this a whole?
This song was a Akashic record moment.
Okay.
Because when you talk about the Akashic record, it's like the field of pure potentiality. Everything that has been, everything that will be, everything that is. Infinite possibilities all at once. And people have talked about it before. Let's face it, you've got some Tearaway in Manchester or whatever writing some of the best tunes in the world.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He's not. He's if you're in tune and you're in the right, you're resonating in the right way, and you're fully in tune with that, it will come to you.
Right.
It's like inventions.
Yeah.
That's why does someone invent the electricity in one side of the world and the other side of the world, and that at the same time.
Right.
Put the patterns in at the same time.
That's mad, isn't it?
Things like Tesla. Where did all of his inventions come from? Because he was in tune. And I think a lot of musicians get in tune with that Akashic record and can access that, because they're practicing and the music, the sound, because again we're only at sound waves, aren't we?
I guess so.
We are built up of vibrations. And can we use music to clear our mind, like a meditation, which we do, and that's where all the best
hook into it.
And that kind of song just come to me, boom, and I wrote it.
Amazing. Yeah, all the best ones do, don't they?
Yeah,
but
probably ripped it off someone else.
No, I don't think so. No, but you sometimes it just comes to you.
Yeah.
And I had that. I've had times. You have got to practice. Because if you think, oh yeah, I've got all this stuff in me, but and you can't just expect to get in there and just put it down, can you?
No.
So you have to. You must have about what's the ratio of songs you've thrown away?
Well, I've got loads that I didn't put on the album, but I'm going to release some after. They just weren't right for the album. But I've got tons, hundreds, thousands of songs, and they're not all right. But you have to practice. Whether it's meditation,
right? Okay.
You're not going to sit down and be a meditation. You're not going to be a yogi after 10 minutes. You've got to, it's a kind of
it's a muscle.
It is a muscle, right, but it's you can't force it. No, so it's a kind of you can, by forcing it you won't get it. No. And it's a bit like music. You practice songwriting, you practice being in the zone and getting in there, but you've just got to be ready to catch it. It's like catching, boom, I've caught it, it's in.
You've got to allow yourself time, haven't you? And this is again coming back to the writing in the morning, the diligence of writing. If it's a load of bollocks every morning, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And that's just the songs come to you. And I always have, so doing the writing, then I always have a pad on the side for the ideas that come out from the writing. Be it song ideas or like when I was listening to your stuff and right, okay, I got to get in touch with Dan a bit more. And it's a practice, it's a diligence. And the practice, and then the songs come out. So
well, they do if you let them. You just
absolutely.
Got to be there. But I was lucky that day, and I'm proud of that song. And you've done some great harmonies on it as well. And you put, what I heard in my head, was finished. You've done so.
And let's not forget the Christmas song. I know it's not on the album, but I love.
I forgot about that.
No, that was awesome. Yeah, I know. Well, because it's about as far away from Christmas as you can get now. Isn't
I
it?
hate Christmas songs.
Well,
in general. I mean, it was just
good.
I had a go.
Yeah, okay.
It was, and you done.
You had a really good. It's a great song. So we'll flash that up. or something, you know. But yeah, so what happens now? I mean, I guess we're waiting to know what the hell is happening with the world and the lockdown, and if it'll ever go back to how it was. I mean, I've just heard back from Toby Perkins again. He's written back to me, and one of my, because I wrote about my problems. Obviously, I've had all my work has gone for the whole, until whenever really. But I mean, at least £50,000 worth of gigs had gone with the Wonderwise, and I think a lot of musicians are falling through the cracks, and there's the mental health problems as well,
of course,
which I've had. So what can we do now? It's, what do we plan for just for it to go?
It's hard. I think it's something that everyone's feeling, and no one really knows, and I can only speak for myself. I think we just got to keep on. Yeah, we just got to keep on, and hopefully we'll get back. I'd love to be doing the festivals this year. It's not going to happen. Can it happen next year? Hopefully, get back out gigging. Mm-hmm. Hopefully, we're working together. Well, I know we're working on another project.
Definitely. Yeah,
talked about getting that collective together, because there's so many great musicians around that we know. Getting different people singing on songs that we write, and getting people in, different musicians, and all that. That's another thing. Doing a band thing together. Who knows?
So you doing any videos for the album though?
I think we'll do a few.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I said no the other day when you asked me.
Right. Okay. Yeah. But any ideas for a next single? It's not a singly sort of album, is it?
It's not a singly sort of album. I'm not really bothered. It's like. It's a little bit like pulling teeth, trying to get people to listen to it, and that's why I wanted to do this interview with you, because I wanted people to have a little bit of a background into it. It's a different type of album. Hopefully I'll put it on vinyl, because it would really lend itself to vinyl, where you go and it's like a ritual. We're going to put that vinyl on, we're going to sit down and we're going to listen to this album.
Big time.
And hopefully and all the songs will go from one into the other. I've had
to
change
them. It's an album for music lovers, isn't it?
It is an album for music lovers, hopefully. Hopefully. But at the end of the day, I've done it, right? Yeah. It's done me good. Yeah. It's cathartic.
Absolutely.
And it's something I needed to do. Mm-hmm. I'm proud of it.
Yeah, you should be.
And I hope other people will dig it. I hope they will like it. If they do, they do. That's brilliant. But at the end of the day, I've done what I wanted to do. Yeah. And that's the beauty of music. It's subjective. It could be might be the best album ever. Some people might think it's not for them.
Right.
But from my point of view, it's got to be all about the music, and we've got to be true to ourselves, and I don't think I've sold out in any way.
Not in the slightest, man.
And I think I have in the past at times, and tried to got my eye on the prize, and I just didn't want to have that. I wanted this to be, this is the music. Do you like it? Wicked. Yeah. Go and listen to it. Do you want to come to, hopefully people are going to like it, and they're going to come to the gigs, and we're going to have a great time listening to it, and the interaction when we're, get some kind of semblance
freedom
of normality back.
All being well, man. So I really encourage people to buy this vinyl, CD, get your headphones on, download it, like the whole lot.
Beautiful.
Danny, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate.
Thank you, mate. Thank you for having me round.
It's been an honour to be part of this, really, man.
We wouldn't be able to do it without you, mate.
But it's such an accomplished piece of work, and a mark of your integrity. So
beautiful.
Really appreciate you coming on. All right,
thank
you,
buddy.
Well, that's a wrap, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed the show, and please remember to like and subscribe. Until next time.